Let's rock and roll. Let us rock and roll. Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. We are back with the live streams. Obviously, as you know, I've been away for a couple of weeks. I've been keeping you up to date with little videos here and there discussing all of the news, of course, and there's been a lot of it whilst I've been away. However, I haven't been able to stream. This is the first stream coming back from Mexico, so please do bear with me for today because I'm still trying to get used to streaming again and obviously sitting and talking live in front of a camera. As you can see behind me, as I spoke about on a couple of the videos, my whole setup has changed. Everything has changed behind me. So again, I've been trying to get used to that. I've literally only just plugged my PlayStation back in today. I've literally, not my PlayStation, my computer, sorry. I've literally only just plugged everything back in today. So that's why I'm a little bit late. I do apologise about that one. We're going to be talking about transfers today. I know obviously a lot of things happened whilst I was away. We had the launch of the away kit, which we spoke about in a video. We had the fantastic news about Bramley Moor Docks, and we've seen the pictures and we've seen the images and we've seen the video of what the brand new stadium is going to look like, and we're going to talk about that on a stream as well. But there's been a lot of transfer news, both incomings and outgoings, whilst I've been away, so I want to really sit down today and talk about it, and I want to do a big transfer roundup. I was going to originally come home from Mexico and sit down and do one massive stream where I talk about everything, but I thought, you know what, why not split it into two? Why not give, you know, the stadium, the new stadium, Bramley Moor Docks, Dan Myers, their own stream, because it deserves it, doesn't it, really? We've got a load to talk about the stadium and about obviously the plans going forward for that. So I thought, you know what, I'll talk about all the transfer news in one stream, and then on another day we'll talk about the stadium. So obviously today being Tuesday, the stream's going to be a little bit different this week. We're going to be doing Tuesday and Thursday, and then hopefully Saturday as well. So we're going to talk about the transfers today, and then hopefully on Thursday we'll be able to sit down and talk about the new stadium as well. So anyway, I suppose we'll jump straight into it. There's been a load happening, not just over the 2 weeks. Forget the 2 weeks I was away in Mexico. Forget Mexico. There's been a load happening today. Today has been absolutely manic. Twitter hasn't stopped. Everton don't seem to have stopped at any point today. And we're going to talk about Idrissa Gueye's move to PSG. Obviously, if you didn't know, Idrissa Gueye has completed his £30 million switch over to French giants PSG today. He was really respectful in his message to Evertonians. That was, again, reciprocated from Evertonians. Really respectful back to him. I think we all sort of understand this situation. We all understand that, you know, he's getting on in his career now. 29, nearly 30 years of age, and he's got an opportunity to go to obviously a team that's going to be winning trophies year in, year out, challenging in the Champions League year in, year out as well. So you can't really have, you know, any qualms about him wanting to go over to PSG. You know, like I said, he done it really respectfully. He got his head down towards the back end of last season. He's shown his professionalism. He played fantastically well, and then he got what he deserved this summer. And you know what? I've got absolutely no problem with that. For me, I adopt, you know, I'm a massive Evertonian, always have been, always will be. So I very much adopt that if you don't want to play for Everton, then, you know, you go. With Idrissa Gueye, it hurt a little bit because I know how good he was for our football club, and I know how important he was for our football club. But you can't really be angry at the way he's left. If a player's going to leave the football club, you would want them to do it like Idrissa Gueye. And there's too many egos in football these days. There's too many hotheads. There's too many players who think they're better than what they are, not just as a footballer but as a person as well. And Idrissa Gueye certainly isn't one of those players. He had a nice little message, and then obviously he went on his way to French giants. And, you know, just from me, and I'd like to say it's from most Evertonians as well, I wish him nothing but the best and nothing but luck over in France as well. But we'll talk a little bit more about that one in a second, because I think it's really important that we talk about it, because we obviously, going into last week, we needed a striker. We always knew we needed a striker. We knew we needed a striker from, you know, the back end of last season. Well, from the start of last season, really. We needed two centre-halves. You know, we possibly needed another creative player. But we weren't, again, with signed Andre Gomes, with signed Fabian Delph. It's now massively important that we bring in a replacement for Idrissa Gueye. And I think there's four players there, really, for me, that we desperately need to sign, and we can't really go without signing two centre-halves, purely because we need centre-halves. We've only got two at the minute, in Moise Kean and Yerry Mina. One is obviously a replacement for Idrissa Gueye, and one is a striker, and it just so happens that I've got news on pretty much every single one of those positions to talk about today. Jamie says, money to finance the Kean deal, probably sad to see such a determined, hungry player go. Yeah, but I think it works both ways as well. I don't necessarily just think it was, we needed the money or money to finance a deal. I think it was very, very clear Idrissa Gueye wanted to leave the football club. It's very, very clear he's wanted to leave the football club since January, and, the club have obviously... they've granted him that, and they've allowed him to leave because of, I dare say, because of how professional he was towards the back end of last season, and how much of a good role model he was, not just to fans and stuff, but to obviously all the players as well, as to show, right, if you want something, if you want to leave the football club, you go about it the right way. You don't spit your dummy, you don't say I'm not going to play, you don't sit there and sulk. Shabba says, I see you made it back in one piece then, Cam. Yeah, I am back. For those of you looking at the camera and thinking he doesn't look that tanned, I've just messed about with the camera settings a bit, because I look dead bright one minute and then I look dead dark the next, so I'm still trying to figure out different settings on the camera, obviously, because it's in a different part of the room now, directly facing the window now, so there's a lot more light naturally, so I'm still trying to figure that out. But I'm not going to sit here and bullshit yet. I'm not really that tanned. I don't really tan. I usually burn. I haven't burnt this holiday, which is quite a surprise, but probably because I soaked myself in Factor 50 for the entirety of it from fear of burn. But yeah, I'm more tanned in real life than I show on camera, but I'm not that tanned in real life either. Tomo says, who do you think will sign? I think we'll get the Kean deal done, and I think that'll be done by tomorrow, and we'll talk about why I think that in a couple of minutes. I am 50-50 on Wilfried Zaha at the minute. I think we'll get a deal done for Jean-Philippe Gabanin, or Gabamim, or Bamim. I don't know how you really pronounce that, but you know what I'm talking about, as a replacement for Idrissa Gueye. And then I'm on the fence with Kurt Zuma at the minute. I'm not too sure whether we'll be able to persuade him to come over. Jamie says, what effect do you think the Zaha deal would have on Theo, Bernard and Richarlison? I think if Zaha did sign, and Grant and Moise Kean signs as well, I think the front three will be Richarlison, Kean and Zaha. I think Bernard would drop to the bench just naturally. I don't want to see Bernard drop to the bench. I think he's a fantastic player, and I think he's more than good enough to be a starter. But if you're bringing in Zaha for £55-60 million, he has to start. If you're bringing in Kean, who is your striker that we've been searching for however long, for £35 million, £30 million, then he's going to start. And then obviously Richarlison is the best of the front three that we have now, so it's just sort of a victim of circumstance. And in terms of Theo, I think Theo again had adopted the place on the bench like he did towards the back end of last season, but I genuinely think Richarlison out of those three will be starting every week still. Anyway, let's go into talk about it. We'll talk about Idrissa Gueye first, and then we'll move on to Moise Kean, because it's sort of the typical storyline of anything is start bad and then end well. So we'll talk about Idrissa Gueye, and then we'll move on to the Moise Kean deal. So like I said, I was away in Mexico, a lot of transfer news happened. You'd had players coming in, players going out. You'd had obviously Fabian Delph signing on a permanent transfer. You had, João Virginia going out on loan, Kieran Dowell going out on loan, plethora of the players going out on loan, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to come home from Mexico here, and I'm going to, have to do a full 40-minute live stream talking about João Virginia going out on loan. But no, a lot has happened today. Forget Mexico, a lot has happened today. So before 10 o'clock this morning, we knew that Idrissa Gueye had moved to PSG, and we knew that we were very, very close to agreeing a deal for Moise Kean. So like I said, we'll talk about Idrissa Gueye, regardless of how he left, and, the fact that we can all sit here and commend him for the way he left. In terms of the player himself, in terms of what we're going to lose, what we're going to miss, I don't think I have to sit here and explain to any Evertonian, what we're going to miss by, selling Idrissa Gueye. We know what we're going to miss. We're missing an absolute quality footballer, a footballer that brings so much to the table, obviously does all the dirty work that he needs to do, sweeps up in the midfield, throws a million tackles in a game, runs his absolute arse off, and it's the work rate for me that we'll miss the most. It's that willingness to never give up from Idrissa Gueye. He might be having a poor game, his passing mightn't be the greatest, but he'll never stop working, he'll never slow down, he'll constantly pressure opponents, and for 15, 16 of the 20 odd Premier League sides, that's enough to break down their midfielders. That constant pressure on their toes, and Idrissa Gueye give us that. He provided us with that. Obviously we're going to lose that. We're going to lose it massively, and this is why Marcel Brands has now got a massive job on his hands. Marcel Brands has a massive job on his hands going into the start of the transfer window towards the back end of last season, needing to bring in a striker, needing to bring in obviously a centre half as well as a replacement for Phil Jagielka. He's now now got an even bigger job on his hands, bringing in a replacement for Idrissa Gueye, because he is arguably, or what should I say, arguably our most important player in terms of the role he does. Not many people do it as good as Idrissa Gueye, and you can very clearly see why PSG want to snap him up, because like I said, for me in the Premier League, nobody does it as good as Idrissa Gueye does, and that's why it's going to be really, really difficult to go out there and buy a player, bring in a player that can directly fit back into the Idrissa Gueye role. Now, if we fail to find a player, if Marcel Brands stands in and says to Silva, listen, I'm going to need a little bit more time to find a player, and it mightn't be till January or towards the start of the summer, then we might see a different formation. We might see a change of style of play, because the way we play now with the midfield three of Gylfi, Gomez and what was Gana, obviously Gylfi's playing forward up and he's providing for the front three. Gomez isn't going to do that dirty work. He isn't going to do the run around. He's very acute. He's a player with a load of quality, and I'm absolutely amazed that we managed to sign him for £22 million as well. He's another one we brought in. But he's not going to run his arse off for 95 minutes in a game. He's not going to throw tackles in left, right and centre. He's not going to do what Idrissa Gueye does, and that's why those two worked so well last season, because you had Idrissa Gueye who was doing the dirty work, who was getting stuck in when he needed to, and you had Gomez who had the quality on the ball and who had the class to be able to take it down when he needed to and break. So it's going to be really, really difficult to find a replacement for Idrissa Gueye. Now, we're rumoured to be looking at Jean-Philippe Gabamim, like I said, playing for Mainz. Obviously, we played Mainz a couple of days ago. Ended up being beaten by them. Rumoured to be around €35 million. Apparently, the communications between both clubs are good. Apparently, it's looking like a deal could be done, pretty soon. It's looking like there's no real sort of issues. The player is interested in the move, obviously, to the Premier League. And, Mainz are interested in selling him for that price as well. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you. I don't know an awful lot about the player. Obviously, I've seen him in clips. But I don't know an awful lot about him. And I'm not necessarily convinced that he'd be able to come in and replace Idrissa Gueye, but you know what? I'd never be convinced that any player could come in and replace Idrissa Gueye. There's very few players that I'd look at and go, right, okay, he's going to come in and he's going to do exactly what, Idrissa Gueye done. Decore's one, for example, from Watford, but again, they're going to want stupid money for him, and if we're looking to spend £35 million, on £30 million, on Moise Kean, 60 million pound on Wilfried Zaha, we haven't necessarily got another £60 million. We can't. Financial fair play wouldn't let us spend another £60 million on a replacement for Idrissa Gueye, because although we've managed to get rid of Ademola Lookman for a decent fee, 15 to 20 million, sorry. Obviously managed to get rid of Nikola Vlasic as well. The outgoings aren't sufficient enough to, for financial fair play to allow us to spend hundreds of millions of pounds this summer transfer window. Jean-Philippe Gabamim at the minute looks like he could be a good replacement. He was thrown straight into the pot as soon as the rumours of Idrissa Gueye leaving sort of come back to fruition. As soon as we started to realise, okay, this is going to happen. Like I said, the rumour for Jean-Philippe, I'm just going to call him now, he was thrown straight into it. It almost wasn't like Everton had insisted in a number of players, including. It wasn't like Marco Silva was impressed by this player. It was just like, this player's, on the radar, and now obviously the discussions are going positively, and a €35 million bid, €35 million deal, I suppose, is close to being agreed by both clubs. Like I said, for me, if Marcel Brands trusts the player, if Marcel Brands thinks he can come in and do that job, then 100% I trust in Marcel Brands, and I still do trust in Marcel Brands, and I know we're sort of sitting here and we're 2 weeks away from the end of the transfer window, and we're sitting here knowing that we need a striker. Okay, Moise Kean might sign for Everton Football Club tomorrow, but as of now, as of the 30th of July tonight, we need a striker, we need 2 centre-backs, we need a replacement for Idrissa Gueye, we need another creative player maybe, but forgetting the other creative player that we don't necessarily desperately need, we desperately need a replacement for Gana, we desperately need a striker, and we desperately need at least one centre-half. You do sit there and think, well, are we going to be able to do that realistically? But I'd just say have faith in Marcel Brands. Like I said, we'll talk about Moise Kean's deal in a couple of minutes, but when we delve into Moise Kean's deal and the terms of that deal, you really start to see what Marcel Brands is about and how well he can negotiate transfers. We've seen it earlier on in the summer transfer window with Andre Gomez and Barcelona. We're now seeing it again with Moise Kean, and I dare say we'll see it with every other player that we sign as well. So for me, I'd just say trust in the project, trust in Brands and trust in Silva, but Jean-Philippe looks like the player that is most likely to join the club to be the Idrissa Gueye replacement. Marco Silva made it very, very clear that that wasn't going to be Fabian Delph. So for fans thinking that, you know, Delph was going to come in and Delph was going to be the replacement for Gana, that isn't the case. You know, we're openly in the transfer market looking for a replacement for Idrissa Gueye, and so we should be as well, because I don't think Delph can do that job. Obviously, like I said, I don't know too much about him. I know he's very similar to Idrissa Gueye. I don't know whether he's as good, I don't know whether he's better, but I know in terms of how he plays is very, very similar to Idrissa Gueye. So let's hope that if we do sign him, he can come in, he can fit straight in, and he can do that role. You know, it shouldn't take too much settling in for him to be able to be put in the middle of the park and just chase everything that you can chase, and you know, put tackles in and win the ball. And I know it's not as easy as saying that, and it's obviously not as easy as that, otherwise there'd be as many players as you know, there'd be much more players that could do it at Idrissa Gueye's level, and much more players that PSG are wanting to take off our hands. But, you know, like I said, again, we can't really sit here, well, I personally can't really sit here and say, yeah, this kid's going to be the absolute dog's bollocks. I'd go on Twitter, I'd, you know, obviously have a look at what some of the more football sort of involved people are saying over on Twitter and see what they, you know, they're saying about him. But at the end of the day, I don't know a lot about him personally. However, I do know that he's very, very similar to Idrissa Gueye, and if we do bring him in, hopefully he can fit in and he can do the role as well as Idrissa Gueye can. The Football Fan says, you're back, how was your holiday? Yes, I am back. It was absolutely fantastic, thank you. Much needed break, and it was brilliant to get out there and just chill for a few weeks. CJ says, imagine being gay. I know. Sad, it's sad, but I'm not too bummed up about it. I'm not worried, because I have faith in Marcel Brands, I have faith in Marco Silva. However, you know, it's not ideal, is it? Let's be honest. Losing probably your most influential player is not ideal. It's never going to be ideal. But it is what it is. I suppose we all should have knew it was going to happen. I suppose we all should have preempted it. So we now have to go out and find a replacement within the next 2 weeks. And I think that should be pretty much top of Marcel Brands' list. Obviously, we can get the deal done for Moise Kean in the next couple of days. I think the replacement for Idrissa Gueye and the centre-half should then be the top of Marcel Brands' list. Anyway, I'm just going to tweet today's team out. I've just realised that I haven't tweeted it out yet, so bear with me just 2 seconds. Get any questions in that you want in the comment section. What do you think on Idrissa Gueye leaving? What do you think on the way he left? Are you happy that he left and, you know, he put out a nice statement to the fans and he left with a little bit of respect? Or are you gutted? Are you sitting there thinking, what are we going to do now? Do you have faith in Marcel Brands? Do you have faith in the project? Let me know in the comment section down below. Bear with me just a couple of seconds. Like I said, let me just tweet the stream out. We are now live. Join us here. Feels good to be back. It does. It's a little bit strange. Like I said, I haven't done a live stream in quite a while. Obviously, I've done videos over there. Most of them were only sort of 3 or 4 minute long, just update videos on obviously a lot of information. We had the away kit released, which I think is absolutely unbelievable. I absolutely love it and I can't wait to purchase it. Obviously, like I said, we had Fabian Delph signing on a permanent. We had a load of players going out on loan. So I'm just happy that I was away that week and not sort of this week when all this stuff sort of going on. But yeah, like I said, let me know your thoughts on Jean-Philippe Gabin in the comment section down below. Do you know a lot about him? Do you think he'd be able to come in and be a direct replacement for Idrissa Gueye, or are you a little bit worried that we won't be able to replace the quality and, you know, the standard of quality that we had in Idrissa Gueye? If you're enjoying the stream so far, please do leave a like. It really does mean a massive amount to me, and if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. I would be massively appreciated if you did. Anyway, we'll move on now from a player leaving the club to a player coming to the club pretty much instantly within 5 or 10 minutes after Everton Football Club announced that Gana Gueye was leaving for PSG. The reports were flying in left, right and centre. It was a manic morning. Manic morning. If it was yesterday, it'd be a manic Monday morning, but it's not. It's Tuesday, so that doesn't matter. But anyway, it was an absolute manic morning just after it was revealed that Idrissa Gueye was leaving for PSG. The reports started to flood in that Everton have agreed a deal with Juventus for 19-year-old Italian striker Moise Kean. Obviously, absolutely fantastic footballer, got a lot of potential, got a lot of talent. Like I said, 19 years old, impressed in the Serie A last season when he got his opportunities and impressed for country as well. The deal is reportedly to be around €35 million or €30 million, which is around £29 million. And again, this was sort of a transfer that has been spoken about for a couple of weeks now. The sort of clause holding the transfer up between, you know, 1 or 2 weeks ago and today, was that Juventus were really holding out for a buyback clause on the player. Juventus originally wanted around £40 million and a 60 million, £50 million buyout clause on the player. Marcel Brands turned round. He said, you can come here and we can discuss it in England. Juventus' sporting directors come over here, and he said, you're not getting a buyback clause, fella, so do us a favour, let us have him for £29 million. That's the deal done. See you later. There's your coat. Ta-da. And he's done an absolute masterclass once again. £29 million for a player of the class of Moise Kean, for a player of the potential and talent of Moise Kean, is mind-blowing in itself, in my opinion. The fact that such a massive European club like Juventus have come over and said, we want a buyback clause, and Marcel Brands has said no, and they've said okay, just shows that the power that he has in the footballing world, and that we really should be trusting him, and really should be trusting that he knows what he's doing. Instead of a buyback clause, Juventus, I believe, have got first dibs basically on him if we decide to sell. First refusal. So basically, I believe that means that if we turn around and we want to sell Moise Kean, they can match any offer that we're given and decide to accept, and then obviously it's down to the player then. But again, massively different to the buyback clause. A buyback clause would have meant that he could have had 2 fantastic seasons at Everton Football Club, banged in 20-25 goals for us, and then Juventus could have come back and gone, right, we're taking him off your hands for 60, when in 2 to 3 years he could be worth over £100 million. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not saying he's going to bang in 20-30 goals a season every season, but I'm just saying that would be the obviously the negative of a buyback clause. They could come back in whenever they want, they could match that clause, and then it would really be down to the player. And if Juventus are European champions in 2 or 3 years, then I dare say he would want to turn around and obviously go and play for them. Obviously, like we said, there's no buyback clause on the deal. It is a first refusal, so again, a little bit more power. I think it's sort of, the way I see it, is the power switch from where there's a buyback clause of there being the ball in Juventus's court in terms of the player. The ball is now in our court, and even if we end up wanting to sell him and they want to match the price, we can still turn around and say, well, at the end of the day, we've had a bid from so and so for 100 million, so we want the same from you. Fantastic player, like I said. Bags and bags of potential, bags and bags of talent. His brother's been all over social media today, basically being the biggest advocate for Everton Football Club I've ever known. He is basically an Evertonian now. He really is. He's been saying about how excited he is for his brother to come over and play in England, how excited he is for his brother to come over and play in Merseyside, for the best club on Merseyside, of course, Everton. Moise Kean himself has put out a couple of social media posts that pretty much suggest that he is on his way. It was revealed by Di Marzio, so by Italian media, and then later on by Sky Sports, that the deal has been agreed for £29 million, and that the player could travel to England as early as tomorrow for his medical and to sign the deal. So we could have a Moise Kean announcement by tomorrow night, hopefully anyway. Like I said, the player himself has been a little bit on the social media, not as blatant as his brother, putting pictures, his brother was putting pictures up of him photoshopped in Everton kits with blue hearts and saying, can't wait for him to be at Everton, and obviously maybe a little bit naughty, but obviously it's all what we want to see. Like I said, the player himself has put a picture up of him getting out of a plane or walking onto a runway saying ready for a new challenge. A little bit similar actually to the photo that Romelu Lukaku put out before he signed on a permanent deal, if you remember that, all those years ago. He also put on Facebook a few days ago that he was proud to have worn the Juventus shirt, and he thanks the Juventus fans. So for me, this deal pretty much seems like it's going to be done. It's going to go over the line. I think it would need a monumentous fuck up for this not to happen now. And don't get me wrong, we are Everton Football Club and we have been known to monumentously fuck things up in the past. However, I just think this one's too far down the line now for obviously for it to not happen. It's just about the player getting over here, getting a medical done, passing a medical, and then signing the contract. Obviously, we've seen players fail medicals before and deals not be done, so it's not 100% in stone yet. It's not absolutely going to happen. We're probably at the stage now. I was talking about this on holiday with my mates. I was saying about the difference between like Everton Football Club and country clubs in England is that They will only discuss a player once he has been announced, other than Wilfried Zaha, whose situation's a little bit different. We'll talk about that in a minute. They'll only discuss a player once he's been announced, whereas clubs like Juventus, obviously, will start to discuss and will start to put pictures up of the player when they're on the way for the medical, when the deal has been agreed, like the Matthias de Ligt, obviously, he was pictured getting off a plane ready for his medical, and Barcelona do it as well. I think we're pretty much at the stage where if we were a club like that, would be now saying the deal's been agreed and would be taking pictures of him in Finch Farm tomorrow, even before it's officially official. But like I said, loads and loads of media sources. Sky, although they're not the most reliable at the minute, but mostly DiMarzio and a lot of Italian sources saying that he could be due in England by the earliest of tomorrow for his medical. Deal all agreed, terms and conditions all agreed, player agreed terms, no problem. So it should just be a case of him coming over, like I said, getting that medical done and then putting pen to paper, and that be it. Really, I'm absolutely over the moon about this signing. I'm absolutely ecstatic. We've brought in a 19-year-old kid that every Italian journalist I've seen on Twitter today saying he's the best, Italian prospect. He's absolutely fantastic. They don't understand why Juventus would even consider letting him go out on a permanent deal without a buyback clause. He's fantastic. Obviously, we're still yet to see whether he can do it in the Premier League. We're still yet to see whether he can come in and get his head down and perform at the level that we really, really need. But there's no questioning the fact that he's got the potential. There's no questioning the fact that he's got the talent. And for me, he is that marquee signing we are looking for in terms of a striker. We were sitting there, and when you look back at a few weeks and months ago, and we were linked with the likes of Alexander Mitrovic, Danny Welbeck, and you're sort of sitting in, you're thinking, obviously no disrespect to those players, but we're now on the verge of signing an absolutely, a top European prospect and a fantastic striker, a player that's coming in young, hungry, 19 years of age, ready for a new challenge, and if he soaks up the club, soaks up what it's about, and gets his head down and works his arse off, I genuinely think this kid can be one of the best players in world football. I'm not saying that he's going to do that in Everton shirt. I'm not saying that he's going to come and he's going to score us 20-30 goals, although I'd love to see it. Again, obviously nothing's guaranteed. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but he's got the potential to be that. He's got the potential to be as good as Romelu Lukaku was for Everton Football Club, in my opinion. So if he keeps the right attitude, if he gets his head down, if he works hard, we could have a real talent, and we have got a real talent on our hands here. Again, I don't need to sit here and blow, Marcel Brands' trumpet anymore. He's brought in a top European quality prospect for less than £30 million. I've just seen a rumour today saying that Brighton are interested in signing a Championship centre-half for £20 million. So for an extra £9 million, it can bring, one of the brightest, one of the most exciting prospects in European football. I would even argue probably would have broken into the Juventus team and played as their, number one striker, obviously other than Cristiano Ronaldo, in the next year or two. And we brought him in for £29 million without a buyback clause on that contract as well. So if you didn't trust Marcel Brands before today, do you now? I should hope you do, because at the end of the day, we still do need a replacement for Gueye. We still do need a striker. These players haven't signed yet, but if we can bring in Jean-Philippe Gabin, we can bring in Moise Kean, we then only need to sign a centre-half or two centre-halves, and then, like I said, anything else is really a bonus. And for me, bringing Moise Kean in is absolutely massive for the football club. It shows, it shows a sort of a level of intent that the football club are trying to show. It shows where we're trying to go. It shows that, we are serious about challenging for this top 6, this top 4. We are serious. We're bringing in a player here that could genuinely light the Premier League up by storm. We're not bringing in a Premier League proven, striker that, okay, might have been a little bit ideal, but we're not bringing in a player that's played for Fulham who scored a few goals last season. We're bringing in a top European prospect that, absolutely lit it up in a Juventus team full of world-class players last season, and I'm absolutely over the moon. Like I said, Sky and numerous other sources reporting that the deal has been agreed, all the terms have been agreed. He could be due as early as tomorrow for his medical at Everton Football Club. Let's hope that it is tomorrow, and then let's hope that he can sign the contract and we can get the deal announced by tomorrow night, and that'll be absolutely fantastic. Like I said, his brother's been sprouting it all over social media, pretty much confirming that he'll be an Everton player, and he's been putting the odd sort of cryptic post up here and there saying that he's going to move on for from Juventus, of course. So yeah, like I said, looks like our number 9 for next season, the striker that we've all been crying out for, that we've all know we've needed for so long, will be Juventus striker Moise Kean, of course, Italian striker, absolutely fantastic footballer, so talented, bags of potential, and I just can't wait to see him in an Everton shirt, and I just can't wait for the season to start next week. I really, really can't. Let's hope that he goes to, away to Crystal Palace with the boys and bags at Attic. But again, not getting too ahead of myself so far. We'll jump into the live comments now. If you're enjoying this team so far, please do leave a like. Got 23 people in here, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Thank you all so much for the support on today's team. Like I said, my first team back from holiday. If you're enjoying, please do leave a like. Get your thoughts on everything that we're speaking about in the live comments as per usual, and subscribe, of course, if you're new to the channel as well. Where are we? Kevin says, hi Cam, hope you had a great haul, pal. What about Danny Welbeck? Could be a shout on a free. I had a fantastic holiday, thank you very much. The only time I'd bring Danny Welbeck in is if we sign Moise Kean, and Danny Welbeck was going to be coming in as a bench player and a player to play in, the cup competitions, or come in if we need a replacement striker at any point in the season if Moise Kean needs a rest, and if he's on less than 100 grand a week, because I wouldn't be giving Danny Welbeck more than £100,000 a week, especially if he's not going to be on number 9. But he's decent. He'd be a decent backup. He will be a decent backup, but I think that should be it. He shouldn't be any more than a decent backup for us. We should be, aiming higher, and we are aiming higher with obviously the transfer of Moise Kean. Your boy says, bro, I was so hyped to see Kean play. I feel like he's got what we need to get into the Europa League. I think he has, 100%, and I think Moise Kean's the type of transfer, and I think Wilfried Zaha has the type of transfer that will take us to that next level. We've been screaming out. We sat here towards the back end of the season and we said, we've got a good squad, we've got a good set of players, but we need one or two players that can take us to that next level. Yes, Bernard's fantastic. Yes, Richarlison's good, but they're not. Richarlison isn't yet at that level to take us to that next, European level. And I really do believe Moise Kean and Wilfried Zaha both are at that level. Now, obviously, there's no guarantee that we'll bring Wilfried Zaha in. However, it's looking pretty solid to say that we'll bring Moise Kean, and that for me he is at that next level to take us to at least the Europa League next season, if not even maybe the Champions League. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Where are we? Mike says, alright Cam, mate. Alright Mike, we are doing well. Mike also says that Pepe going to the Gunners, done deal. No, it looks to be a done deal. They obviously, it's a massive transfer fee, around £80 million. They want to spread it over around 5 years. I've heard that Lille aren't necessarily very happy to do that, but it's looking, like that one's going to be done. Luke says, I think so. Mike says, Kean sick on Footy Manager. Yeah, he is. He's boss in real life as well, mate. LCFC boy says, even in fellow Blues, even in LCFC. Stoll says, alright Cam, would you prefer Zaha or Malcolm? Very good question. Very good question. Fantastic question, in fact. Let me know everybody's thoughts on that one in the comment section down below. Personally, I would prefer Wilfried Zaha. I just think he's a better player in terms of on the surface of it, and obviously he's got that Premier League experience behind him. And what I've seen from Wilfried Zaha in recent years is that he's good enough to be able to do it on the big stage against the big clubs away from home as well, and I think that's really what we need. There's no guarantee Malcolm will come to the Premier League and be able to light it up, but Wilfried Zaha again is a player that will take us to that next level. He is genuinely a quality player. So for me personally, I prefer Wilfried Zaha, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Shabba says, Jesus man, if it's 2 then that's fantastic news. What a great bit of business. Exactly, and hopefully we find out if it's true by the next couple of days. This is Everton Football Club, so whereas a normal football club would, like I said, get him to sign the contract, take one picture of him in the shirt signing the contract, get the medical done and get it announced that same afternoon, Everton will probably try and throw a montage together of his best bits and, make him fly back to Juventus, put a Juventus shirt on to film him in that, and then film him taking it off to put an Everton shirt on, and we mightn't see him sign for Everton for another few days, but hopefully that's changed now. Hopefully Marcel Brands will be there in the ear of the club and saying, listen, get this announced and let's move on now, because that's what it's about now. Moise Kean's a fantastic footballer and it's an absolutely fantastic signing, but once we sign Moise Kean tomorrow, I want to sit here for an hour and a half, 2 hours, probably the rest of the night, sitting here absolutely buzzing, saying this is a belter, we've signed a top European talent, a fantastic striker, but he's done now, move on, who's next? Who do we bring in next? Replacement for Gana, Wilfried Zaha, let's pursue that one again. 2 centre-halves, exactly like we did with Andre Gomes. We were all over the moon that Andre Gomes had signed a permanent deal, but we all knew that we needed to go, right, that's done now, who's next? And that's what it's about between now and the end of the transfer window, because it doesn't end at Moise Kean. We need a centre-half at least. We need a replacement for Idrissa Gueye. Mike says, Welbeck wants daft wages and 5 mil signing on fee, exactly, and for me, it's not worth it, and Marcel Brands wouldn't give that to a player that's going to sit on the bench, in my opinion. Ian says, total faith in the men in charge, keeping my feet on the ground though. Yeah, exactly, I do. I do as well. I've got, total faith in Marcel Brands and Marco Silva, and it's strange because if any other season, under any other management, under any other director of football, under Steve Walsh, if you'd have said you'll be sitting here 2 weeks before the transfer window, you'll still have your number, your main striker going into next season will still be Cenk Tosun or Dominic Calvert-Lewin. You'll have just sold Idrissa Gueye, and you won't, you'll have 2 centre-backs, one of them being, obviously still settling into the Premier League, and Yerry Mina. I'd have been fuming, I'd have been panicking, I'd have been worried, but I'm not. I'm genuinely calm. I'm sitting here and I'm calm because I've got faith and I've got trust in Brands and Silva to pull it out the bag, and I do. And it's strange because we're not just lacking a few players, we're lacking a replacement for Gueye, who's arguably our most important player. We're lacking 2 centre-backs that we desperately need. If either Kean or Mina get injured at this current moment, we're bollocksed. We need at least 1, if not 2 centre-halves, and we're lacking a striker at this current moment. But I'm not worrying at all because I've got total faith in Brands and Silva to, pull out what we need and to bring, the players in that we need to bring in before the start of the season. And I do have total faith. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy to be proved wrong. If I'm sitting here in 2 weeks, if I'm sitting here on the 10th of August when we play Crystal Palace and we haven't signed Moise Kean for whatever reason, although that's unlikely, we haven't signed a replacement for Gueye, Zaha didn't come, we've still only got Kean and Mina as the 2 centre-halves, then I'll say, you know what, it's been a bit of a shambles of a transfer window, because we haven't replaced the players that we needed to replace and we haven't brought in the players that we needed to. But I genuinely think we will bring in a replacement for Idrissa Gueye, and I think it will be Gabamon. I don't know anything more than you do, but I just think that'll happen. I think we'll bring in Moise Kean because, like I said, that's looking stronger and stronger as the minutes go on, really. And I think we'll bring in a centre-half because Marco Silva and Marcel Brands know we need at least 1 centre-half. So I'm quite calm, I'm quite confident, and I have got faith in those in charge. Mike says Zaha, I agree. LCFC Boy says Malcolm is sick on FIFA. He is. I'll give you that one. He is. He's a belter on FIFA. Stroll says I prefer Zaha as he was improved us intensely, whilst Malcolm would take a season to bed in properly. I'd be happy with you though. Yeah, exactly. I would be happy with Malcolm, but again, fantastic point. I would prefer Zaha because he wouldn't have a settling in period to the league. He'd be able to come in and he'd just have to get to know the lads, he'd have to get to know the club, have to get to know the setup, and then he'd be fine to just get his head down and go. Then he knows the league, he knows how good he is, and he knows he can light this league up. Stephen says Moise Kean's brother Instagram posted him in an Everton shirt. Yeah, he did. I seen that. I think it's a Photoshop, to be honest with you. However, it's an absolutely unbelievable Photoshop, but B, it's still Moise Kean's brother, putting pictures up on him in an Everton shirt, pretty much confirming that he'll be an Everton player within the next couple of days. But yeah, absolutely fantastic news regarding Moise Kean. Like I said, let me know your thoughts on that one in the comment section down below. I'm absolutely over the moon about that one. Moving on now to Wilfried Zaha. We'll speak about Wilfried Zaha for a little bit. Not as sort of strong of a rumour, not as sort of strong of a situation as Moise Kean, although I don't think you get really stronger of a situation as Moise Kean because his brother's literally saying he will sign for Everton. But anyway, Wilfried Zaha, of course, what we know about the player, we know that he was originally rumoured to be joining Arsenal. We then, heard from multiple sources that Arsenal couldn't find the money to pay Palace. Palace wanted it, up front and not over instalments. Everton then got involved in the situation. There was then rumours about Wilfried Zaha wanting to stay in London and wanting to join Arsenal. But then, it come out shortly after that he would be happy for a move. He'd be happy to move over to the Northwest. He'd be happy to move to Everton Football Club. He just wants to leave Crystal Palace at this given time. We obviously then bid £50 million a couple of days ago for the player, and it was rejected within a couple of hours by Crystal Palace, who initially said they wanted at least £60 million for him. So again, a little bit cheeky by Brands, a little bit cheeky by the club, but fully, expected for them to reject a bid for a player that they valued at much more. There was a rumour. Sky Sports decided to tweet out yesterday that we'd offered £55 million with Cenk Tosun and James McCarthy going the other way. So Cenk Tosun and James McCarthy joining Crystal Palace and us giving them £55 million in exchange for Wilfried Zaha. Then things started to get a little bit confusing on Twitter, a little bit confusing on social media. The club then come out and denied that. The club come out and they said, listen, we bid £50 million for Zaha, it was rejected, and we left it at that. We haven't offered another bid so far, and we haven't offered either Cenk Tosun and James McCarthy. And people were a little bit confused as to why the club done that. People were saying they don't don't usually come out and deny bids. They don't usually come out and make statements on these type of things. And you're absolutely right, they don't. I've got my theory, my opinion on as to why the club have come out and done it, and I'll talk about it in a second. But you're absolutely right, they don't usually come out, they don't usually deny bidding for players, and they don't usually deny, they don't usually make statements about transfers. However, in my opinion, like I said, I think it's important to understand that Sky Sports had wrongly reported that we'd offered 2 players in exchange for Wilfried Zaha. Now, if Sky Sports had reported Everton had put in a second bid for 55 million, I think the club would have just gone, well, we haven't, but whatever, let it fly. Because Sky reported that Cenk Tosun and James McCarthy would be going the other way, I think the club felt sort of obliged to come out and say, no, that's not the case. Now, they couldn't come out and say, we haven't offered James McCarthy and Cenk Tosun, because people would then say, well, they haven't said they haven't offered the bid. So they've come out and they've denied the whole thing. They've denied offering a second bid. They've said they offered the first bid. They've denied offering a second bid. And I think the reason for that is because they didn't want to disturb the apple cart. They didn't want to disturb Cenk Tosun and James McCarthy. I think it's quite clear that the club are looking to move those players on, and it's quite clear that they would be 2 players that would probably be involved in the transfer of Wilfried Zaha if it was to happen, but it's not at that stage yet. So Sky wrongly reporting that it is at that stage means that those players are then going to be in the dressing room, and there's going to be rumours left, right and centre. We're going to reject this bid, or we have made or we haven't made this bid, and like I said, that's sort of understandable for the club to not come out and discuss that. However, bear with me 2 seconds, it's saying that I'm not live at the minute. Let me know if I'm still live in the comment section down below. I don't know why it's going off. Maybe the internet can't handle the talk, and maybe the internet can't handle the transfer news. Give me just 2 minutes, guys. Let me just make sure we're still up and running. If you are in the comment section down below, let me know if everything is still on. Just want to make sure that we're still live, of course. Dropped but back on now. Is right, we're live again, we're back on now. Sorry about that. I don't know why that happened. The internet dropped, like I said. Not used to me streaming, obviously being away for a couple of weeks, but like I was saying, the club don't usually come out and they don't usually say, yes, we have rejected, yes, we have accepted a bid for the player. However, I think they pretty much needed to come out and make that statement about Wilfried Zaha because of the fact that Cenk Tosun and James McCarthy were putting into the oven, really, in terms of that transfer. Doesn't mean that we won't make a second bid for Wilfried Zaha. Doesn't mean that those players won't be involved in a second bid. It just means that Sky were chatting shite basically yesterday, and the club have felt that they needed to come out and protect their players, protect their employees, and you wouldn't expect anything different. Like I said, we're still no further onto the Wilfried Zaha situation other than that. I dare say we will make a second bid. I dare say that players might be involved in that bid, but again, we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Where are we? Still says the fact Everton said it was the end of the matter suggests that they aren't paying more than 55 million for Zaha. Exactly, but again, is that just a tactic from Marcel Brands to say, well, that's it, I don't want more, and then Palace will come back and go, well, actually, 55 million's a decent price, so make it 60, and then Marcel Brands is going to go, we'll make it 58. Like I said, I've sat here for months, and I've been quite vocal recently about the fact, and not really recently, but over time, to say that, I get a little bit frustrated with the fact that Everton don't do transfers quickly, and the fact that you see other clubs go from being, rumoured to be interested in a player to that player holding the shirt within the same day. Everton have never done that. Now, previously, the reason we didn't do that is because we were linked with every single player under the sun, but we just sat on our arses twiddling our thumbs and didn't do anything. The reason we're not like that now is because Marcel Brands is genuinely negotiating the arse off these teams. He is saying, no, you're going to agree to our terms and we're going to sign this player, and they're going, no, yes, and I am absolutely fine with that. If a transfer takes an extra week, if a transfer takes an extra 2 weeks, if that has to happen, but it means we get an absolutely fantastic deal for the player and we don't get our pants pulled down, then I'm happy to wait an extra week or so. That's why, like I said, these transfers are taking the time. That's why they're dragging out. And although the club said it was the end of the matter regarding Wilfried Zaha, I wouldn't be surprised if he's an Everton player by the end of this transfer window, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was less than £60 million, because I wouldn't be surprised if Marcel Brands goes over to Palace and says, listen, this is my offer, take it or leave it, and they say, right, we'll take it. But again, like I said, we'll have to see how that one develops over the next couple of days and weeks. In terms of to end, I suppose we'll talk about Kurt Zouma. There's not been much more going on in terms of the Kurt Zouma situation since I've come back from holiday. There wasn't much going on whilst I've been on holiday. There was a little image yesterday of him with number 5 written on his boots, and, you know, a couple of Evertonians jumped on it and said about how Jorginho is the number 5 for Chelsea and how this could mean that he's joining Everton again. I wouldn't look too much into that. I dare say that's just, you know, his number as a centre-half. It was his number at Everton, yes, but I dare say it'd be his preferred number at Chelsea. I dare say it'd be his preferred number for France as well. He's a centre-half at the end of the day, so he's going to want to pick number 5. So I wouldn't look too much into that. I'm not that confident that we'll sign Kurt Zouma, but I am confident that we'll bring in at least 1, maybe 2 centre-halves this summer, and he may be one of them. So like I said, we'll see how that one develops over the next couple of days and weeks. Robbie says, you drop it back now. Thank you very much. Shabba says, you're live again. Thank you very much for letting me know, everybody. If you have enjoyed the stream or you're not enjoying the stream so far, please do leave a like. It really, really does mean a massive amount to me. Jordan says, Gana was at peak value. He will be missed, but Brand should wear a mask when he robs these clubs. 29 million for Kean. Wow, what a difference to have someone in charge and knows their stuff. He's top drawer. Spot on, mate. Belter comment. Absolutely spot on. He does know his stuff. He is top drawer, and he is robbing these clubs blind. He's going to clubs, and he's going to top European clubs. We're not talking Bournemouth. We're not talking Wigan. We're not talking, you know, the crap if we're disconnected. Okay, it says we're successfully connected back now. Sorry, I do apologise about that one. Stephen says these hanging out for £80 million so they can get 2 players or 1 replacement winger. Yeah, you know, again, very, very possible. That guy says, I reckon the club denied the bid because it probably wasn't officially offered. It may have been considered disrespectful to Schenk and Maka as they have not been informed. Spot on. I think that's exactly why the club denied the bid, because it would have put a bad, you know, sort of image in the players of in Cenk Tosun and James McCarthy, as well as the rest of the dressing room as well, if they had not been consulted about that. And that guy says, I believe that the offer may be being discussed. Yeah, I 100% believe it'll be discussed, and I believe we will offer again for Wilfried Zaha. I really, really do. Apollo says, Moise Kean looks a real prospect. He certainly does. And Robbie says, I wonder if we are hoping Zaha pushes for a transfer now. I think he will. I genuinely think he will, because I genuinely think he doesn't want to play for Crystal Palace. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's team. A massive thank you for watching. A massive thank you for joining me for the first team back since my holiday ended, of course. Like I said, we're back in the swing of things now. Constant streams every other day, of course. I was going to say until the end of the transfer window, but it's not. It's basically forever now. So yeah, you're stuck with me forever. A massive thank you for watching. Please do leave a like if you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. It really, really would mean a massive amount to me. Don't forget to go and follow us on Twitter as well to keep up to date with all of the latest Everton news and information. And yeah, leave your thoughts and comments about everything that was spoken about in the comment section down below. It would mean a massive amount to me. Anyway, like I said, that's going to do it for today's stream. Mikey says, reckon we're still interested in Zaha, mate. Reckon we'll get him. I do reckon we're still interested in Zaha, and I'm 50-50 as to whether I think we'll sign him, but I would like to hope that he would sign before the end of the transfer window. Again, anything's possible with Marcel Brands in charge, isn't it? But like I said, let me know your thoughts on everything we spoke about. What do you think about Idrissa Gueye's move to PSG? Did you see it coming? Are you devastated? Do you think we can sign a replacement that is as good, if not better than Gueye, before the end of the transfer window? What do you think about the Wilfried Zaha situation? What do you think about the statement the club made? And are you absolutely over the moon at the fact that we could probably be signing Moise Kean as early as tomorrow? Let me know your thoughts on everything that was spoken about today. Like I said, don't forget to join me again on Thursday afternoon about 6:15 for another live stream. Again, like I said, we'll be speaking in depth about Bramley Moor Docks, about the new stadium, and about all of the information that was shared last Thursday as well. A massive thank you for joining me once again for the first team. The support has been unbelievable whilst I've been away. Every video in over 100 views today, stream it in 30 viewers, I believe, at one point. So a massive thank you, like I said, once again, for all of your support. Don't forget to join me on Thursday night to talk about Bramley Moor. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like if you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. And I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.